Of Pakistani politics. Good afternoon, Imran. Javed, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Now, the Pakistani government has brushed aside Imran Khan's rally, but his supporters aren't happy. Khan's called for elections or else he will lead another rally. So what are the latest updates that we know regarding that?
Well, the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has indicated that he's ready to have negotiation with the opposition parties on the question of holding fresh general elections. But again, the government is trying to say that we don't want to create an impression that we are giving in to the demand of the former Prime Minister under pressure. But I think there is a bigger picture which is developing in Pakistan. Everybody knows that the public wave is in favor of the former Prime Minister Imran Khan. If the fresh general elections are not held, Imran Khan has the ability to bring hundreds of thousands of people on the streets of capital Islamabad. That means there will be more political destabilization. That means it will play havoc with the already economy which is in a very bad shape. So I think the government, has been left with no option but to hold general elections. As we speak now, the government is bringing critical amendments in the existing scheme of legislation, as a result of which they have been accused that they are going to deprive millions of overseas Pakistani because they have a more favorable approach towards the former Prime Minister Imran Khan. Largely, they are the votes of the former Prime Minister Imran Khan. There's a lot of politics. And then the government is also making amendments in the existing scheme of laws whereby they want to basically make the accountability authorities some kind of toothless. I mean, the opposition leaders, including Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif himself, they are facing money laundering charges. They are being tried in the court of the law, and even the Prime Minister was supposed to be indicted on the very day he took oath of his office. So I think there is going to be a lot of amendment in the existing laws, as a result of which this ongoing prosecution against the government leaders would be weakened in a manner that they are acquitted. So I think after that, I am expecting that the government would go for general elections. But again, there is a bigger problem of the economy. The government did criticize when it was in the opposition that the former Prime Minister was responsible for the price hike in Pakistan. Now, this government is exactly doing the same thing because both parties have been pursuing the dictates of the IMF, and IMF has been at the heart of the problem in destroying Pakistan's economy, because whenever IMF comes up with the bailout package, that means high interest rate, that means more taxation, that means more devaluation of Pakistan's rupee. So these are the combination of factors which apparently make the indicators, economic indicators, better, but it comes at the cost of price hike, and the people of Pakistan simply cannot afford it. And the last point that I want to make, very important point, the former Prime Minister Imran Khan had a deal with the Russia to purchase oil 30% on 30% concession. This government did not pursue that deal, and as a result of which they had to go to the US bloc, which means the IMF, and then now the people of Pakistan are facing the music.
Okay. All right. Now, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif will deliver his maiden address to the nation today. What are you expecting from this address, and what's the Pakistani public expecting from Shehbaz Sharif?
My understanding is that he's going to make a long speech justifying why he had to resort to the price hike, why he had to approach the IMF, and he would blame the former Prime Minister for all the economic mess that his government has been going through. I think, again, these political parties, both former Prime Minister and this current Prime Minister, they are trying to present a picture of the economy, a rosy picture of the economy, which they intend to bring in, and I don't think they would be able to handle the economy like the former Prime Prime Minister, because they are simply the economic managers. They have to pursue the IMF policies. They have to implement the IMF policies. They cannot take the initiative. But again, the problem with this government is that at least 60% members of this cabinet, they are already being tried mostly on the corruption and money laundering charges, and they are tainted with the corruption charges. They have been blamed by the opposition that they are the stooge of the Americans. They played a role in removing elected government through an American conspiracy, and the evidence that the former Prime Minister Imran Khan has been pointing out is a cable of the Pakistan's ambassador to Washington. So I think right now as we speak, there is a lot of anger against this government on this specific reason, because there was already anti-American sentiments in Pakistan, and according to the latest survey, 72% Pakistanis consider the US as their enemy. So obviously people do not see the current dispensation in a positive shade. They see them that perhaps they are an offshoot of the American rule in Pakistan, and that is a propaganda line, that is a narrative the former Prime Minister Imran Khan has strongly built. And I think in coming days and weeks he can give very tough time to this government. It will stay destabilized in case if it does not go for the fresh general elections.
Okay, Javed, thank you so much for joining us on the program. We appreciate your contribution there.
The growing tide of anti-Israel sentiments. What you see behind me is just tip of the iceberg of what is happening in the country. More than half of $52 billion black CIA budget is spent on espionage network in Pakistan. How would you handle it?
The US has looked upon Pakistan as an ally at one point and then as an enemy at the same time.
That is going to be the first legal reason on the basis of which he is going to be instantly ousted by the Supreme Court of Pakistan.
Joining us live, Javed Rana, who's an expert on politics and geostrategic issues.
In the world politics, which is not being driven by any moral principle, it is being driven by the hard geostrategic realities. In a broader picture, more countries would aspire to have nuclear weapons.